Today I'm going to show you how to make your very own Bran Flakes cereal at home. Did you know that making your own cereal is actually really easy to do, especially Bran Flakes? Ever since I learned this, I don't even bother buying them from the store anymore because cereal has gotten way too expensive for what you're getting. These not only taste way better and are much healthier, but they're dirt cheap to make. I just love how these stay so crunchy for a long time in milk, and one bowl will keep you full for hours. So if you're a fan of Bran Flakes cereal and you want to learn how to make your own, keep watching because I know you're going to love this. Now to make our Bran Flakes, we're going to start by creating a very simple dough. Right here I have 1 cup of natural wheat bran. And here's what the package looks like. This is natural wheat bran. You can usually find it in the baking section or in the cereal section of your grocery store. And if you're a regular viewer of the channel, you probably remember me using this in my 1 bowl bran muffins. It's used in a lot of baked goods that are kind of on the healthier side. And if you haven't tried that recipe, I highly recommend you do so. I'll link it in the description below. To that, I'm going to add 1 cup of whole wheat flour. Next, I have here some ground flaxseed, and not only does this add a lot of nutritional value, it also acts as a very strong binder, very much like egg. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of that. Next, I have a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to whisk these dry ingredients together, just like so. All right, set that aside. Now right here, I have 1/2 cup of water, and to this, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of molasses. And I'm just going to eyeball that because I do not like to measure molasses with my spoons. It's just way too messy. And 1 tablespoon of any neutral flavored cooking oil. I'm using vegetable oil here. Just gonna whisk that together so it's nice and emulsified, well combined. All right. Now I'm going to make a little well in the center of the dry ingredients. And I'm only going to pour in about 3/4 of this wet mixture. So I'm going to start with that amount and just stir it in with a spatula. Your whisk is probably going to be a little problematic at this point, so a spatula will work better for you. And I can already tell here that this is going to be way too dry, so I think we're just going to go in with the rest of it. I might even have to add a little bit more water, but we'll see. We're looking for a fairly stiff, dry dough. And this is still a little too dry, so I'm just going to add a little bit more water. Here I have about a couple of tablespoons or so. I might even need more after this, but I just want to go in slowly with more water so that I don't accidentally add in too much. If you do add too much water and your dough is too sticky, just add a little more whole wheat flour or natural wheat bran. It's pretty simple. I'm just gonna mix the rest of that in, and I can see here that we're looking pretty good. Now you'll want to get yourself 2 baking sheets lined with parchment paper. And on a nice work surface, place 1 of those pieces of parchment paper. Take your dough and divide it in half. You only want to work 1/2 at a time. The other half I'm just going to set aside, and you might want to cover it with plastic just so that it doesn't dry out. Now I'm going to take this dough here and roll it out as thin as I can, right onto the parchment paper. And if your dough sticks to your rolling pin, just take a little whole wheat flour and sprinkle it on top. You can use a good amount of flour to prevent sticking, and it's not going to affect your Bran Flakes at all. And your aim is to roll it out to about the size of your parchment paper here. This is going to end up being Bran Flakes, so don't even worry about aesthetics. The thinner you can make this dough, the lighter and crispier your Bran Flakes are going to be. If you like crunchier Bran Flakes, then make the dough a little thicker. But I'm gonna make this dough very thin because I like light and crispy Bran Flakes. And you're gonna see just how delicious these Bran Flakes turn out. They're so light and crispy, and they stay fairly crunchy in milk for quite a long time. They turn out so much better than the store-bought ones. I can't even tell you, and they're a fraction of the cost. I can't believe how expensive cereal is today. Now I'm going to carefully slide this onto the baking sheet, just like that, and I'm going to do the other half of the dough. By the way, right now you should be preheating your oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit or 148 degrees Celsius. And one thing I also have to mention, if you're enjoying this video, then let me know by hitting that like button. And if you haven't subscribed to I Cook and Paint yet, you'll really make my day if you do that too. But don't forget to hit that little notification bell. All right, I think that's as thin as we're gonna get this piece of dough. I'm going to slide that one onto my baking sheet. And now I'm gonna bake these in my preheated 300 degree Fahrenheit oven for 10 minutes. Now, one really important thing to tell you, if you're going to bake these on 2 different levels, then make sure you rotate them halfway through. So after 5 minutes, just flip those around, and that way they'll bake evenly. All right, these have been baking for a total of 10 minutes. Now don't turn off your oven, leave it on, and I'm gonna let these cool for a minute or two so that they're easy to handle. And these are only about half cooked right now. They're still kind of soft. I'm going to now peel this off the paper. Now this is the fun part. All we have to do is just rip this into little flakes. Just like that. This is still pretty warm, but cool enough to handle. Just want to tear it into little pieces. Just think of the size of store-bought Bran Flakes. Go for something like that. Just go ahead and take out all of your frustrations. Tear this thing apart. Now remember, that oven is still on. You don't want to shut it off just yet. All right, that was fun. Now you want to make sure that these are nice and evenly spread out on your baking trays. And we're going to put them back in the oven. Only this time, once we put them back in, we're going to turn the oven off. And we're going to let them sit in there for an hour and a half with the oven off. Once or twice during that hour and a half period, just give them a really quick stir. But don't leave the oven open for too long because then all your heat's going to escape. And there's no need to rotate them at this point. You can just leave them as is. We just want the Bran Flakes to crisp up and dry out completely. All right, so these have been in the oven for an hour and a half, turned off. And you just want to make sure that they're nice and dry. You might want to taste a couple of them to make sure they are crispy. Oh yes, that was really good. Normally an hour and a half in the carryover heat is just right. These are actually still a little bit warm, and they are perfectly crispy. See that? Now you'll want to get yourself a nice glass mason jar like this, and you can just pour your Bran Flakes into it. Oh goodness. Looks like I'm going to need 2 jars for this. You could also store these in a Ziploc bag or even a Tupperware container. These will keep for about 1 month, but do you really think they're going to last that long? You are going to be so amazed and impressed at how good these homemade Bran Flakes are.